it's worked for a ton of other people.
Hmm.
Anyway, this is the Fujifilm. Let's see if I can get it on par with my face. Yeah, because hold on,
Yeah.
closer face, closer lens. There you go.
There we go.
Okay. This is hysterical. This is the Fujifilm XF 10 to 24 millimeter f4 R. Let me get the moniker right. It is the ROIS WR. Now, what does all that mean? R, I think, is like their higher end lenses. OIS, optical image stabilization. WR, weather resistance. So they're packing a lot into this lens. And the super cool thing about it is that it feels a lot like a prime.
Ah.
Yeah, a lot of zoom lenses, like they have like the zoom barrel that comes in and out and all that stuff. But check this out. So I'm gonna zoom in and out, and like, hold on, let me give you more. So look at that.
Oh,
That's
that's
not even changing.
fantastic.
Yeah, but now check this out. So at the front, right here, you can probably see that pretty well.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna do that a little slower for you.
Yep.
Yeah, it's barely moving.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so it's
Yep.
more or less I'd say it's 92% internal focus zooming.
Hmm.
It's totally internal focusing, so don't even worry about that. This lens is so incredibly fun. Like, I enjoyed the original version, but the original version didn't have weather sealing.
Hmm.
And we've been talking about this for a while, Brett. Weather sealing is incredibly important to cameras and lenses these days. I feel it's essential on everything.
Absolutely. There's no reason for a lens coming out in 2020 not to have weather sealing.
Yeah, but this thing is very well weather sealed, and I'll show you some photos later on, I believe, of me taking it out in the rain. I think it's in the batch of stuff that I've put together, but I'll show you them a little bit later. So
Okay.
either way, ergonomically speaking, this thing is basically like the size of a prime. It's pretty awesome. There are a couple controls. So there's zoom,
Hmm.
there is the aperture ring, and then like there's this little like locking type thing there if
Hmm.
you want to keep it on A mode.
Okay.
Uh, and that's really about it. There is no like pull back clutch mechanism here to go into manual focus. But to be very honest, like this is a pretty wide angle lens. Like
Hmm.
you shouldn't really have a problem focusing at all, I feel.
Right. So to switch into manual focus is done through the body, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So in this case, you would just use the little switch right here.
Right.
It really depends on like what body you have as well too. Like the XT4, I think has something similar. The X
Hmm.
Pro 3 has something similar. A lot of the lower end bodies don't. The XS10 doesn't, right?
It does not.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, but also again, this is a weather sealed lens. I feel like you would put this on a weather sealed body.
Definitely.
Yeah. Um,
Definitely.
as you can tell too, this is a really large hood. Let me sort of compare it to a couple things for you. So first off, this is some chapstick right here.
Okay. That lets us know just exactly how big or how small that is, really. Wow.
Yeah. And here is a little tub of Vicks that I keep around. And
There we go.
let's see, tub of Vicks with the front.
Hmm.
There you go. So it's pretty small. In addition to that, too, I mean, it's got a pretty large front filter at 72 millimeters.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can sort of expect that for something being so wide angle, though.
Hmm.
Build quality wise, as I'm saying, this thing feels like a prime. It is weather sealed. So, I've taken this out in the rain, had no problems at all. I was even a little concerned with like the internal zooming here, where like you see the little zoom going in and out.
Right.
No issues.
I guess there's a gasket down there or something in there just to stop whatever
You
getting down
know,
into the body.
yeah, knowing Fujifilm, I'm pretty sure that it's there. There are some manufacturers recently that have been like not putting something there, and I'm yelling
Hmm.
at them, and we're saying that in reviews, but they covered their bases on this, and I feel
Yeah.
like this lens is like just under 1,000, I think, as well too.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's pretty fantastic in that way. Autofocusing wise, on both the older body and the newer X Pro 3, this thing is very, very fast. But you sort of have to expect that with a wide angle lens like this. That's just how the depth of field works and the laws of physics. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say absolutely. Yeah, it's totally expected.
Yeah. I mean, with the f4 and then the 1.5 times crop, I think that's around. Man, I don't want to math right now.
So it's like a 15 to 36, right?
Yeah. But no, I was thinking about the aperture. That's like a 6.3, something
Yeah,
like
like
that.
a 5.663, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But either way, like, I mean, it's to be expected with something this wide angle. Like, you're gonna go around, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, that's a really cool landscape. Let me shoot that. Or like, oh, that's a really cool building in the rain. Let me shoot that. I don't really think anyone's gonna try to use this for bokeh, but you can, and I do have a couple images later on to show you that. Let's see. We talked about the autofocus. We talked about the build quality. We talked about the ergonomics. Next would basically just be the ease of use. And, you put this onto a camera body and you just use it. You point, you shoot, you focus, all that. Sorry, you focus, obviously, before you shoot. I mean, the only thing that might be a little difficult for some people is using the aperture ring if you don't know how to use them.
Right.
We've had contributors to the site that don't really like using the aperture ring. I don't mind it. I know, Brett, you don't mind it either.
No, I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you really need to, you can set it to auto over here and then like put the command dial on the camera body or something like that. And that's really about it as far as like the ease of use and ergonomics and all that stuff. So why don't we take a look at some images right now?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so sharing my screen. And let me know if you see this.
Yes, sir. I sure do.
Okay, wonderful. So these images were shot with the X Pro 1 as I was walking around my neighborhood. One of my best friends, Kevin, him and I go out every Friday evening or like in the morning or something like that. We have a meal basically every week together. And we were getting like arepa burgers or something like that. And as I was walking around, I just saw the scene, and I'm like, oh man, this is really cool. This is in the Velvia rendition.
I was going to say, these colors look absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and to think that this is from the old sensor as well, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a 16 megapixel sensor, wasn't it, in the X Pro 1?
No, it was, well, this is the X-H1.
Oh, sorry, X-H1. I thought you said X Pro 1. My bad.
I'm sorry. So this is shot on the X Pro 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the new like 26 megapixel sensor. I'm sorry if I said the X Pro 1.
That's okay. It's all good, man.
Yeah, I have other images later on the X-H1, but let's go through these. So this is Velvia. It's really, really saturated, as you can see. Incredibly sharp. Check this out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Whatever, though. So I was purposely doing this. This is something I like to do because I like to get like painterly type looks from these images. But also what I've noticed is when I do this with wide angle lenses, you can really sort of see where the distortion is. And this is at the wider end, and you can tell it's over here on the right, and then like towards the center, like it's pretty nice. But otherwise, you're going to see distortion.
Yeah, up in that top left corner is a little bit distorted too, I see.
Yeah, actually, like over here, totally is distorted. But it's not terrible. And I think the next shot, hold on, was when I was going in. No, I'll find that a little bit later on. I think this is more of me walking around the X Pro 3. Yes, because this is classic negative. No, this is classic chrome. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is classic chrome. Or Velvia.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's super. Like, look at how vivid these are.
Yeah, that's rendering beautifully.
Yeah. And like, I mean, you basically just point the lens at something and it's like, oh, okay, this is everything that's in front of you. I think this is it zoomed in a little bit. So this is at the 24 range. And you can tell that like there's a lot less distortion.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's significantly less actually.
Yeah, they did a really good job at the more telephoto end, which isn't really telephoto at all, but yeah. This is a scene normally. And you can tell it's like, oh, okay, that still looks pretty okay. But then when I do that, it's like, oh, you can actually see what the distortion is.
Absolutely.
I should
Yeah.
probably mandate that amongst the staff since we can all like handhold shutters. It's so long
There you
now.
go.
More classic chrome. I really like the look of this lens. This is ube ice cream. So ube is a sweet potato. It's a Filipino ice cream.
Oh,
Shot this in Velvia with the X Pro 3, and I was just like, okay, fine, I really like this.
yeah, that looks great.
Yeah, but this was also zoomed in, and like, for normal everyday shooting, this is acceptable. Yeah, there's no real major distortion. Like, you can probably see something like a little around the corner here, but you could also make a very good argument that that's perceptive distortion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So more of this lens. Again, as I was saying, this thing is pretty well weather sealed, and you can tell from outside that it was raining and it was wet.
That's a major upgrade over the original. The original was not weather sealed, was it? If I remember rightly.
No, it wasn't weather sealed at all, and that was
Yeah.
very sad.
Yeah, so this is a massive upgrade over the original, just for weather sealing.
Yeah, this is another one of those painting shots that I do, and you can tell again, like all the straight lines. It's really doing really well. This is outside my office window. Office, I say that as I have a home office. I've noticed in like forums on like Facebook groups and stuff like that a lot of people like going out with Fujifilm cameras and shooting in the rain because you get these really nice sort of neon, super saturated colors. And I think that everyone that goes in cities and shoots with this lens will really appreciate for that in the rain.
Yeah, that really does have a really unique look to it.
Yeah. Got quite a few images actually. Like this is another thing. This is a hospital. This was the hospital that was the center of the coronavirus when it really hit New York.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
You're getting some starbursts on there too.
Yeah. I still like it though. Like,
yeah, it's nice. I like it.
See, that's the thing too. Like, I feel like there was a point where Fujifilm was trying to engineer character out of their lenses, and now it's like the character is coming back. Like I saw it with the 50 f1, and like now I'm seeing it with this.
They've really got to put a character back in the lenses because the camera is using the pretty much similar sensors these days. It's the lenses that really make the system stand out more.
Yeah, no. Well, it's that, and then also, I mean, the film simulations. Yeah, this is my buddy Kevin actually cutting a massive hot dog with scissors.
Not sure I've ever seen scissors used to cut a hot dog before.
Nor have I, but this thing was as thick as my fist, dude.
That's awesome.
And that's a quail egg right there.
Very cool.
Yeah. It can give you bokeh, as I was saying.
Yeah. That's, it was at I guess it's at 35, right? Or 24.
24, yeah.
Yeah.
At f4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
you can get pretty close on that when you're focusing.
You can get incredibly close with this thing when you're focusing, yeah. This was handheld, again, to show the image stabilization, and I did this with the X Pro 3 because I really wanted to test the image stabilization on this. The X Pro 3 does not have image stabilization built in. Let me see if I can find where this was 1/80th of a second. So even so, okay, yeah, but actually no. Yeah, it was 1/80th of a second. Still enough to get these trails and stuff like that. Trail. Yeah. Let's go back into here. Some more landscape stuff. This is with the X-H1.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a park in Queens. I'm forgetting what the name of the park is, but it's in like the Bayside area. So
nice.
I think it's going to be very, very good for landscape photographers as well too.
Yeah, these types of lenses with this focal range are some of my favorite to use for landscapes. I absolutely love them.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not sure what camera body I'd really use it on. So I have another shot of this coming up with the X-H1 image stabilization and the lens image stabilization, and it's really cool, but also really ghostly. You're going to see it in a bit when we get to it.
Okay.
I purposely shot this with the trees because I wanted to show you guys like distortion lines, they're still very well controlled.
And I'm not seeing any fringing up in that high contrast area up there around those trees either.
Yeah, which is really great.
Yep.
I'm very, very happy about that, actually.
Yep, because if there was a fringing issue, that's exactly where you'd see it right there. Don't see any.
There's nothing over here, really, either.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm very excited with this lens. Like, they did a great job. The thing is, like, launching it right now, this is a really, like, a travel landscape type of lens. Maybe if people are outdoors and around and they have the Fujifilm system with them, it'll do really well. But if you're traveling, like, I don't really think you're going to buy this lens very soon because we're not really traveling that much, or we shouldn't be, rather.
Right.
Some of these were edited, by the way. Some of these were not.
Okay.
Yeah. But either way, like, I mean, usually when I edit, I'm really just editing for, like, highlights and, like, shadows or something like that.
Yeah, just basic exposure. Ooh,
Yeah.
wow.
So check this out. I shot this at 1 second handheld, and I didn't realize I was shaking. And I didn't realize I was actually even shooting. But, like, look at this. You can still tell a lot of the details from the books.
Looks awesome. It's almost like a double exposure, kind of.
Almost like it. It's very ghostly, and I was like, oh man, this is really cool.
That is really, really trippy.
Yeah. You know, I can actually handhold for longer than this. Like, all of us on staff can. It's just, this was an accident, and a happy accident, I guess.
There you go. That's your Bob Ross moment right there.
Yeah, that's the end of the image share there. You know, I'm really liking this lens so far. And, you know, because this is just a prototype, it's not the final image quality. It is very close to it. There used to be this time where we used to have to run images by Japan before we could show them. And now we don't really have to do that anymore. So my way around that for a while was just like, oh, I'm just going to shoot with everything in Acros. And that way Japan won't sit there and, like, complain. If anything, they'll be like, oh, everything's in black and white, whatever, cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you don't have to do that with this. But if you did, things would probably look really cool, especially if you have one of the newer camera bodies that has clarity built in, like X Pro 3 with clarity and XT4 with clarity. It's like, oh, you don't even have to edit it anymore. It's so gorgeous.
I love not having to edit, man.
It really is the best thing. But, like, there are all these courses like, oh yeah, you have to go shoot and then you have to go edit. It's like, man, I spend enough time in front of a computer. I don't want to do more.
Exactly.
Yeah, especially with our jobs.
Yeah, we're in front of a computer almost 24/7, aren't we?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Exactly. Do you have any questions about this lens?
No, man. I mean, I'm excited about it. I think if I was a Fujifilm shooter, it'd definitely be one that's on my radar, just because I love that focal range, and I'm super pumped about the weather sealing too. Fujifilm's weather sealing is quite excellent. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Let me see if there's any comments here, and it doesn't seem like we have any comments on Facebook, but let me confirm that one more time. Just on a refresh. Nope, no comments. So no questions at all. If you feel we're good here. Oh, you know, I probably should give a little bit more of a summation so far, but at the same time, I also don't feel I should because, you know, it's a prototype.
It's a prototype, right? Do we know, like, a rough timeline on when we should expect to see it on the streets?
I think it's supposed to launch next month, Brett.
Next month? Okay.
Yeah, like November.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that probably means our review unit will come in. We'll send it to you or Hillary. But yeah, man, honestly, this is a great lens. I sort of wish that they redid the 8-16 f2.8 and gave that image stabilization instead, though.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah,
maybe that's one down the road for them.
Yeah, but also, you know, I feel like if I did that, I'd be like, yeah, but now make it f2 in terms of a zoom throughout the range. And I feel like I would never be happy unless they had, like, a faster aperture image stabilized version.
And then we're talking about lens sizes increasing too at f2 as well. So, and that's already a pretty chunky lens.
Yeah, but also, I mean, when I think about it, like, I think it's possible. Like Sigma has that 18 to 35
Hmm.
f1.8, and that's meant for DSLRs.
I love that lens.
Exactly. It's so good. But the more I've thought about it, the more I've been like, man, you guys could actually create maybe an f2.5, maybe an f2, maybe an f1.8 zoom. And it doesn't have to be like something like a 24 to 70.
Hmm.
Yeah, you could make a couple of them. You can make an 18 to 35. You could make a 35 to 70. You could make a 70 to 135 or something like
Hmm.
that. I think it's all very possible. It's just I don't know, like I feel like lens innovation is also very much needed. And this is innovating, don't get me wrong. Um I just feel we need to go even further.
I think with Canon definitely innovating in that lens space, especially with their focal lengths that are coming out, I think we're going to see some other manufacturers kind of follow suit here pretty soon as well.
I'm really hoping so.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean
Just
like
to,
go ahead.
I was going to say, just to shake things up just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we should be looking at lenses and being like, "Oh man, this is a gem. This is an object of my desire." But I feel like camera manufacturers are still first and foremost trying to push cameras more than they are lenses.
Yep.
Yeah, but lenses are one of the major advantages over phones, and yeah, we're not doing that yet.
Like I say, it's the lenses that are the differentiating factors between a lot of the, like we talked about last week, good but not great cameras anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, a good camera with a great lens on in the front would be awesome. Um, yeah.